And welcome to Saturday Night One Shots here on Gehenna Gaming, the channel of horror. Ooh. Today we are playing Necrobiotic, which is a game I'm a part of and pushing out on Kickstarter right now. You can check it out. Penny for a Tale / Necrobiotic. Go check it out right now. Go, go, go. We're so close to the next stretch goal, which is really cool. We just passed our second stretch goal. So much cool stuff to offer everyone. But today we have a very special treat, something very close to my heart, which is I get to tell a scary story in the world of Necrobiotic, which I don't get to do often. I miss this. This is my favorite place to be. Any case, you can find me on all social medias at Penny for a Tale. But let's go around to these amazing, talented individuals, starting with Ashley. I guess that's your character name. But...
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
No, that's my name.
Okay,
that's
cool.
my name. Yeah. So,
Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley or Aid. You can find me. Well, actually, all of my shows are on break right now, so you can find me over on the Gehenna Gaming Discord, where I'm a mod. You can find me at my handle down below on Twitter. Otherwise, just here I'm gonna be playing Serena, the architect.
It's gonna be dope. All right, just below Alex.
Hi everybody, I'm Alex. You might have seen me around on Discord as otherwise known as Bird Alex, because I'm the one with the little bird icon. You can also find me on Twitter under AlexTheDM89. As far as shows that I'm on at the moment, I am in the process of working on a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle that is coming out for a podcast called Dice Before Dawn. It's going to be Phoenix by Night, so check that out in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent. And going on over to Nick. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Nick Francia, stream producer here at Gehenna Gaming. You can catch me every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. EDT on Gehenna Academy, an awesome monster arts game. And yeah, I'm really excited to play Necrobiotic and do all this fun shit today.
And
on the channel, right?
Yeah, fucking A.
Yeah.
Leslee.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie. You can find me on Twitter at the handle below my name. You can also find me in my podcast, Hot Garbage Gaming, where we listen to podcasts. And then today I will be playing Elisa, the techno-sophist.
Did we say all our characters' names and I just didn't?
I don't know.
We haven't said any of our characters.
I thought that sounded.
I said mine.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded like a good idea.
Ashley, what's your character's name?
Serena.
I guess it's just me and Alex having to choose one.
Yeah,
It's
it'll
fine,
be
whatever.
We'll catch up.
We'll get
Make
to it.
Yeah.
Shit up as we go.
It's a surprise.
We'll appear at a dramatically appropriate time.
Mhm.
At the start of the game.
Which we are coming over to. We are going to break into the scene here in Florence, the year 2100, after humanity has whimpered on, stumbled, and has sort of come back from the edge of destruction. Only able to do so because of our reliance upon the dead. Once you are dead, your body is no longer your own and is taken to the Citadel of Science, where they tan your skin, place it back upon your skeletal-like figure, attach steampunk-like objects to the back, including a boiler, and then program you to perform basic tasks, such as taking care of a baby, or farming, or sweeping the streets, and then you will do that forever, until you break down, or they let you go. Anyway, we are opening up on a lovely Florence-like day. The sun is shining. You smell lavender in the air. It's a brisk day here in Florence. You are on break, or maybe you're taking a slight vacation, a day off, so to speak. This place that you are at has these lovely little circular tables, which are out on the cobblestone steps of the Florentine streets. An ox kind of moves on by, the smell of it like burnt flesh and hair. Its chest cavity has been kind of scooped out and replaced with gears and mechanisms, a little bit of steam escaping from its nostrils, and its red-limbed eyes kind of gazing forward, pulling a lovely couple that are surely having a romantic evening, talking to each other on the back of this contraption on leather seats. They're smiling and talking to each other, and one even has a little parasol to protect them from the sun. You guys also have the nice smell of meat next to you. There is a construct which has a handle upon its chest, which is slowly turning, and out of its chest cavity, kind of like squirting out, are these lovely sausages that flop down into a bowl. And then it kind of prepares and seasons with a good amount of salt and pepper, and then places it on a plate with a potato, and serves it up to the clientele. So delicious, amazing. Your only options are sausage and potato at this place, but your options in Florence aren't really that diverse anyway. It's pretty much the day in, day out, the same stuff, which might drive a person mad, but or might be a huge stress upon the psyche of any human being. But this is the edge of the world and the edge of humanity, and sometimes it feels like your greatest job is to figure out a way to take your first breath in the morning and to live another day. But each of you guys are here at this particular cafe at this particular time. So certainly maybe there is a cosmic being out there that guides each of our fates, uncaring and apathetic, because surely the events of today is very unfortunate for these four individuals. But let's go around once again and be introduced to your character, their name, what do they do, what do they look like, how are they enjoying their sausage and potato? Yeah, and we'll go the opposite way for this one.
That's fine with me.
I'm sorry. Oh
No,
man,
that's
I
okay.
feel like I ruined that. But
No.
Leslie, what you got?
Sure. So I am Elisa. She is a technosophist. So I like to think that she's wearing like a coverall jumpsuit that's like a army green kind of color. But it's probably like a kind of like a maintenance jumpsuit. The legs are tucked into a pair of like lace-up boots that probably go a little bit below the knee, maybe mid-calf high. She's got a pair of gloves tucked into the pocket, and I think the front is actually unzipped, and you can see like a white t-shirt or something underneath. And she is grimacing as she slowly cuts into the sausage because she, it's another day. It's another day.
Yeah, and there's like that little steam that escapes from the sausage, nice and heated. Nom. But moving on up to Nick. How you doing?
Well, we see a big hulk of a man sitting there enjoying his sausage and potatoes, because he is thankful for every meal. For every meal is a banquet. And perhaps your last meal, if you're not careful, in his profession anyway. As we see Lorenzo, who is kind of clad in like the leather kind of under armor that would be preceded by his power suit, which he's not wearing at this time, which is just basically like leather straps everywhere kind of tied at certain parts, rough little pads of like metal plating as well on his like knees and shoulders. He has this kind of like black hair tied in a bun, just like messy as like this bearded man just eating at these sausages. No respect to the people around him. But something that might be obvious is a kind of a large scar that seems to run from his lip all the way down his cheek, or across his cheek, I should say, and a giant, what can only be described as a coffin on his back.
which is actually funny. When we were translating the book, it translates to casket, and from the Italian perspective, it's more so like a square box that you wear on the back. But we were like, you know what would be metal if it was a fucking casket? Like, hell yeah. And so that's how it was changed to casket, the way that we kind of imagine a casket being. But yeah, metal as hell. All right, swooping on over to Alex's character.
All right, so sitting at the table, you see a man who has dark, wavy hair. He's also wearing a uniform for local law enforcement, which is a dark uniform with red epaulets and a couple other red highlights along it. He's also wearing dark leather boots. And then as you look up to his face, you can see the bags under his eyes. His Hadrian has not slept very well in the past few days, having been working a case. He just sits there and slowly sips his caffeinated beverage, watching the others.
And finally, Ashley.
So at the table, you see this woman. She's probably, she's pretty unassuming. She has this kind of dull brown hair, kind of just your average features, warm brown eyes though, and she's dressed in more comfortable clothes. It's clear that she doesn't really put a lot of thought into her appearance. Her hair is basically just pulled back out of her face with no real thought onto how it's actually looking. And as she's eating her sausage and potatoes, she's reading this book, and you can see the chair next to her has like her bag with like other books in it, and there's this apron kind of like laid over the back of the chair, and she's dressed in, again, pretty casual, pretty comfortable clothes. That's clear that she doesn't really think about fashion, and she kind of takes her fork and like picks up a sausage and she bites it, and there's kind of that satisfying like little crack when you like bite into the sausage and you like go through the casing,
An explosion of fluids in your mouth.
Yeah, but there's just no like, if she's enjoying it, there's no evidence on her face of it. She just seems pretty enthralled in her book.
Yeah. So sitting here, you are mostly alone, except for the wonderful couple who has just passed on by. The parasol kind of blocking their romantic smooches, as it were. There's a slight fog kind of settling in around the streets of Florence, maybe even a chill, as the wind kind of goes through the streets. We're approaching the evening, and so the sun kind of just filters through the windows in the alleyways, creating these long shadows of skeletal-like figures looming about the streets, the constructs which roam Florence each and every day, keeping it and maintaining it in the hopes that one day humanity can fill Florence, that maybe humanity will come back. That hope, which drives these long shadows to continue on forth. As you are all enjoying your sausage, you notice especially your next bite has a slight copper tinge to it. A crunchy, ungratifying texture to it. And you feel something in your mouth. Assuming you wrap your tongue around it, exploring it, and maybe even place a finger into your mouth trying to see what it is, you feel a tooth.
Well, that's not supposed to be in there. I assume
not.
you don't mean like my own tooth.
Correct. Yeah, it is a new tooth.
Well, I think that Serena pretty hastily kind of like does one of these, like from the sausage in her mouth, and like it falls out whatever the bite she had just taken along with this weird tooth.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see because as you guys see Serena spit out this tooth, blood just pours out of her mouth, dripping onto the plate and filling it, kind of moisturizing this salted potato. Little bits of what could only be the inside gum flesh, moist and almost ripe with its redness, and the white veins across it flop down onto the plate as well, and tiny little pieces surrounding this tooth.
Do I see that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh God, horrifying.
You're falling apart there.
It's not me. She says as she's like trying to like so is there a construct at like each table, or one that kind of like serves all of
There's
them?
just one for this particular location. You are alone. You saw the owner earlier when you first came in, gave a little bit of a wave, and then went back into the kitchen.
Okay, because I think as Serena is trying to like separate herself from this like increasing pile of like blood and viscera and stuff that's coming out of her mouth, she like is reaching for a napkin and like with her other hand is like trying to wave down like an employee, someone like, hey.
Yeah, and looking around, like the other three here, they have blood like kind of taking little walks down the edges of their lips and then down into their chin.
Lorenzo just will spit the tooth out, but continue eating.
Yeah, so you spit, right? And if you've ever like had something come out of your mouth that was bigger than you could ever have anticipated, maybe you choked on a ham as it slithered down your throat, and as you pull it out, it's just kind of this long, elongated piece of flesh that drops onto your plate. You do the same. It's just kind of, and out is like this little fetus, black eyes gazing at you with an umbilical cord wrapped around its throat as it looks up at you like, its little hands kind of reaching out for you.
Well, that doesn't seem normal.
What abomination is this?
Someone mixed up their sausage batter.
Using, I don't know. So Serena is an architect, which means she has this basic knowledge, or well, more than basic knowledge of like medicine and pharmacy and like surgery and like kind of, I'm guessing, just anatomy in general. Does this seem a little odd to me?
Oh yeah, this is from a medical perspective, what could only be the two logical conclusions, lines you can follow along here. Life is but an illusion, and that you've cracked it, and thus life is actually hell. Or you're tripping real hard.
Okay, yeah. I mean, life is kind of hell, but I think that latter part sounds a little more likely. Yeah, so I think, yeah, Serena's just gonna keep kind of trying to wave down the contract, trying to be like, hey, we need the cook, the manager of this place, someone.
I think Hadrian would probably just get up and go find them.
You get up, the tooth kind of slipping out of your mouth, falling into the ground, making a little chattering sound as it does against cobblestone steps, moving past this construct, which kind of slowly is moving towards Serena. Its lower jaw missing, so you just see like these these very brown, almost coffee stained teeth poking out of its skull as it moves forward towards you, Serena. Hadrian. Oh, actually, Elise. Elisa, what are you up to?
I think Elisa, when Elisa found the tooth, would fish it out, like would actually physically reach into her mouth and grab it and try to pull it out. I don't know what is going to happen.
Excellent. Yeah, you pull it out and you notice there's something attached to it. And it just keeps coming out. And as it eventually flops out, the other half of it, its meat that's attached to from the tooth all the way over, is a little hook, something that you might use to catch a fish.
Oh, well, that's dangerous. But I kind of want to have it, so I think she would try to detach the hook.
Yeah, kind of.
To put it in her pocket.
Yeah. And like the rest of the blood just kind of pours out of your mouth onto the plate. And it's not like the blood that you expect coming from like a body, but more so what you would find at the bottom of a chicken like wrap when you get to the grocery store, that mix of slight pink and liquidy, watery milk stuff that pours out. It also has that sweet smell to it as well.
Perfect.
At that description alone, Lorenzo is just going to hurl from the side of his chair.
Yeah, this little thing on your plate, just kind of with almost construct-like clawed hands, is moving forward towards you, Lorenzo, in a very excited manner. You hear the words "mommy" escape from its lips, even though there's kind of a film over its mouth as it's moving towards you. So we'll come to our first check of the day. Yay.
That's fine.
Everything's fine.
I wasn't ready to be a mom.
I know, right?
You're not
Lorenzo
a mom.
is.
I'm a mom.
Yeah, Lorenzo's a mom. It's fine. All right, so
This is my son, and he's perfect in every way.
you can give me a Steam test, and this will be reasoning. You're looking for one success. The consequence is that your mind starts to shatter a little bit.
So we should have flipped over our first breath already, right? Our 6 cards?
Yes, yeah. Take your first breath, your first 6 cards. You have them. Look at them. They are your spoons for the day.
Shit.
Not very good.
So will any number do, or it's got to be a high number?
You're looking for either a combination of 8 or a suit that
Oh.
matches the action. So for
But
you,
it could be any number.
Oh, okay, and it's a steam roll, you said, or a flesh roll? Or...
Steam. So reasoning is what you are doing. So if you're trained in that, you can put down 2 cards. Otherwise, you're restricted to only 1.
Okay. And it can be out of suit, right? If we don't have the suit.
Yeah, if it's out of suit, you have to get up to 8. 8's
All right. I
All right.
got 9.
Oh, this is only for Lorenzo's character. So you're
I'm
safe
sorry.
at the time being.
You're safe for now.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
Lorenzo looks like you have a 3 of clubs. Perfect. You got your success. You're able. How do you keep it together? What memory do you think of? What's your foundation? What ties your soul to this mechanized armor that you have on?
I think Lorenzo kind of thinks for a moment, and he sits there and he concentrates on the war and the bodies and all the horribleness he's gone through. And it's just been he essentially hypes himself up, and I just will not be allowed to be taken aback by tricks. And he just kind of gripping his hands, like digging into his own flesh, and probably even tearing at it a bit. I think that's how he keeps it together, through pain and just straight up toxic perseverance.
Excellent. That bodes very well for you because it looks like the road soon might lead to more of that. But we will shift on over to Hadrian, who is going back to the kitchen, yes?
Yes.
Excellent.
So I am going in there and trying to find the chef that prepared this.
Yeah. Going back there, you notice a skeletal-like tan figure chopping meat. Little bits of flesh, and you see like the blood trickling down from the kitchen island down to the floor, kind of intermingling in the dirt of the cobblestone.
Does it look like a normal type of meat? Or does it look like what I've seen coming out of my associates' mouths?
It looks as deep red, chunky even.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try to continue on and try and find the chef.
Yeah,
Or is this him? Or is this them?
Yeah, taking a step forward, this construct turns around and kind of slams the knife down into the cutting board, an apron set upon its frame. As it moves towards you, no eyes, just kind of dark, deep set circles where its eye sockets would be, as it reaches a bony clawed hand towards you.
Okay, now just for reference point, are these sentient, or are they just single function?
They're single function. Constructs have no more complexity than our AIs of today.
Okay, and it reaching for me, would that be a usual occurrence for it?
It depends
Probably
on
not
what
if
it's
it's single action. Yeah,
it depends on what its function. A construct might reach for you if it wants to cut your hair, and its function is cutting your hair, or provide you a
Gotcha.
massage.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell it to step back.
It does not stop, and you see that bony clawed reaching for your cheek.
I'll tell it again, step back. I am warning you, and I'll go for my truncheon.
Yeah, it does not respond. You
All
feel
right.
like the little clawiness getting a little bit closer.
Yeah, I'm going to smack the shit out of it then.
Excellent. To destroy this thing, you're going to need 2 successes. So, steel combat is what you're looking for.
Okay. And then, so if I have a card that's in suit, it counts for double, or
It counts as a success. Yeah.
Okay. So I can play a 4 and a 2 of diamonds, which is in suit for that, and then that will be 2 successes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Excellent. Yeah. What does this look like?
So he wears the truncheon on his hips, or on his hip. He obviously still looks pretty tired, but this is pretty high on the strange happenings meter. So he's just gonna reach down to his belt after he says step back. If it keeps going, he's gonna pull it out, and then the same stroke, just smash it across the face.
Yeah, you see dark blood litter and paint the wall, almost like this line of gore. Teeth, broken jaws. It's kind of a very interesting thing to watch a face be pummeled by a solid, thick object, especially something like the truncheon. It breaks the jaw, and you see bits of bone pierce through the flesh, breaking the skin. As it slams its head against the kitchen island, falling down to the ground. You see a pool of blood start to leak out of its head wound.
Is it still moving?
No, it is. Actually, it is a little bit. You notice now that the empty eye sockets have these very deep set emerald looking eyes gazing at you, and there's this pure water like fluid dripping down from its eye sockets, mixing with the blood. There is a twitching of the fingers, a movement of the mouth as if wanting to speak but unable to form the words.
And also, just for reference, these are just basically like I would treat this thing like I would a Roomba, right?
Exactly. If your
Okay,
Roomba
yeah.
cries, you hit it more.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna take the truncheon out and just smash it in the head.
Yeah. It breaks into the skull, creating this mush of pudding and pieces of white matter and gray lines of meat. It's very still now. The others, all three, you hear this kind of mushing, slapping sound. It's amazing the kind of similarity of the sounds of this along with sex, right? They both have that kind of smacking sound, but two very different outcomes.
Yeah. And we established early on that there was a human chef here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna keep looking for him and walk over the corpse, I guess.
Yeah, there's no exit out of this kitchen. Whoever came in here earlier never left.
Okay, at that point, then I'm gonna start to use my, just my survey or search technique and start to look around for clothing, remains of any kind, any sort of signs of a struggle, anything that would indicate that this person that we saw earlier was chopped up or killed.
Excellent. Go ahead and give me the investigate gear. So you have that, and while you're getting up those successes, what's everyone else doing? You hear that smacking sound.
Is there still a is the fetus still there, or was I just imagining it?
It's still there. About this time, its little claw-like hands have grasped upon your shirt.
I'm gonna put it on my hand. You know how you examine a bug that would crawl across your hand, on the top of the palm, and just kind of raise it to my eye level.
Yeah.
Particular things.
Yeah, it places its lips upon the top of your hand and starts making these suckling noises. You feel little teeth against your flesh pulling. It doesn't hurt, but it's just kind of a slight uncomfortable suckling.
Well, you play with that. Oh, nope, you go ahead, Ashley.
Okay, I think Serena is gonna, after collecting her napkin and collecting napkins off of nearby tables, wiping her face off, she's gonna take another look at the sausage and this just looks like a normal ass sausage, or does it look tampered with?
It looks like a normal ass sausage. And certainly the amounts of blood that escaped from your lips doesn't really correspond to what could have been in the sausage itself. You didn't feel that explosion of sweet tasting blood milk bursting into your mouth. In fact, it was quite a delicious feeling you had.
Okay. Are constructs known to understand language?
Not really, no.
No,
Not...
you program it and it does its thing. And
Mhm.
okay. Leslie, you go ahead. I have an idea, but you do your thing.
Okay. I think Elisa would stand up, and at hearing the noise, the commotion coming from the kitchen, I think she would go check out what Hadrian is up to. Be like, you have fun with your new friend, Lorenzo. I'm gonna go check on Hadrian. That didn't sound quite like someone having a conversation with the chef. And she'll walk over to go see what Hadrian is up to.
Yeah. Looking down as you come into this very macabre situation, you see Adrian moving forward, investigating blood dripping from the truncheon. On the ground is the chef, head beaten in, twisted and ripped apart, bits of the bone and head fragments everywhere. Her eye is dripping out of her socket.
Quite the conversation, huh?
What are you talking about? That's one of the constructs. I'm going to look back at it. Is it still a construct?
It's not.
Oh.
No, you see the chef.
Oh.
So go ahead and give me we'll do flesh firmness.
Okay.
Whoops.
I'll use, if it's in suit, it doesn't matter what number it is, it's success.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll use a 3.
Excellent. Yeah. How do you make this right in your heart?
That is a good question. So I'm just I basically tell myself, like, something had to have been done to the meat. I would have known if that was a person. So I must have been under the influence of something. There must have been something that was. I'm just going to basically trying to logically deduce as much as possible, given that my profession, I'm pretty sure I've seen a lot that's pretty high on the fucked up shit meter. So I am going to just sit there and try to tell myself there was some sort of outside effect. There was something that changed the way that I viewed this situation.
That's not your fault.
Exactly.
That's something you tell yourself, hand still slightly shaking a little bit. But you have committed the cardinal sin of this era. The one thing you should never do, which is to take a life. One less human being to carry forth the legacy of humanity, which staring at the corpse before you, maybe that legacy is just violence.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to look up and say I said it was a construct at first, but I told them to step back and they kept coming at me.
Understood. I mean, you might have went a little far. A little bit. I think you could have maybe like a shove next time. I don't know. The constructs aren't always that strong. You could have just given them a little push. But
Yeah.
we'll work forward from this.
But they're not supposed to come towards you. And did you not see what is on the table out there?
Oh, I saw. Yep. I mean, I pulled a hook out of my stomach, or what I thought was a hook. Wait, so you thought this was a construct? Interesting. Interesting. This seems suspicious.
I think at that point, upon realization, I'm going to start to look for any sort of drugs of any kind that could have been inserted into our food, any sort of chemicals that are nearby in the kitchen somewhere, maybe in a cabinet, any sort of residue of powder or pills or anything.
Yeah, Elisa wanted to check the body and see what the body had on it, or the chef had on them.
Excellent. Before we go over that, let's check out Serena. What are you up to?
Yeah, so I think that she, with her knowledge of constructs, would like to, assuming this one that was serving them is still out here somewhere, I think you said it was kind of like slowly approaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's going to walk up to it and try to discern kind of the programming of it, like what its task was. See, maybe even dig back if she can, like a little, like obviously the task was to serve the sausage, but is there any more detail in there?
Yeah. What's important to Serena? Let's say it's a Saturday afternoon. Is she alone at her apartment? Is she with someone? Is she dedicated to her work? What matters and what is home to Serena?
I think she is definitely a workaholic. I don't think she's really known for like going out and partying or really doing much for herself ever. She kind of has dedicated herself to maybe as a way to kind of, in one way or another, ignore the world around her and, you know, the darkness of it by just completely throwing herself into her work.
A lot of late nights by yourself in your apartment, vast and big as it is.
Yep.
Candlelight. Excellent. So go ahead and give me a the programming skill for the architect. Yeah, the necro-neurological programming.
Okay. So I can play any gear card, or do I need to be okay?
Yeah, any gear card will provide a success.
Okay, cool. Then I'll just play this ace that I got.
Perfect. Looking at the program, we're talking about like World War II, like first computer type gears and stuff in the back of this. Very hard to kind of figure out a programming unless you've been educated and you know what the different gears and the how they are attached to perform a certain function that's repeatable, as well as how it can respond to external stimuli. This thing has been made to take care and care for something. And just like a TV or a book that's been discarded, there is a significant amount of dust within the mechanisms, as if it hasn't been performing this function for a very, very long time. There's even rust on some of the gears and pipes.
So I imagine that she's kind of like all up in this construct.
Oh yeah, you're in the back, like
Yeah,
it's opened
like-
up, pipes, and like you see the fluids of the inner workings of the construct, a spinal column going up into its head. Very bare, very open.
Yeah, so I think she kind of like pulls herself out of it, like gives this kind of like half frustrated, half annoyed kind of sigh, and then looks over to Lorenzo, and I think she literally is just like, what the fuck are you doing?
At this point, Lorenzo has taken the little fetus thing and has put it on top of his head, just because, you know, it is one of the one taboo laws not to break is not to take a life. And this thing looks pretty alive to him, bearing any conversations about that we won't get into. And just is preparing himself, checking his weapons, because to him this seems like an attack, like some sort of mental or chemical. When I look at the sausage, it's obviously not sausage anymore, so it's pretty much I've been eating a person the whole time, I'm guessing, right?
No, you see the sausage right there. It's right next to it was next to the little baby thing, but yeah, it's right there.
I guess, is there any way to check to see if what I'm actually seeing in front of me is real?
I think the one thing that everyone can kind of what everyone feels is real is usually pain, a significant amount of it. So if you're able to deal out enough pain, sharp, it might yield some sort of result.
Then yeah, I would go ahead and I would knowing my body and knowing how fighting works, I know how much damage I can take, and I know where to hurt myself that won't actually hinder me later on. So I take my own sword, and I just begin slicing at it. Just enough that's a shallow cut that causes pain.
Yeah.
Against my forearm.
Yeah. You see Serena, your companion here, slicing his hand.
A little bit of cannibalism never hurt anyone.
It's funny because while Lorenzo is like this thing is alive and you have to protect life. Like, in Serena's mind, this is just like a terrible, like, mockery of what life really is. Like, this thing could not possibly survive, like, out in the open like this. Like, and she just, like, I think she kind of, like, she doesn't stomp, but she kind of storms over, kind of slams her hand down on the table, not like trying to squish anything, but just trying to draw Lorenzo's attention, and is like, hey, you need to pull it together.
That's what I'm doing right now. Pulling it together. I need to make sure I'm seeing things as they should be, and not as this enemy wants us to. If you have a better idea, I'm all ears.
Yeah, the idea is to go find who drugged our food.
Yes, but first, I need to get off the drugs. So just give me a moment.
Dude, just to double check, we all see this little fetus, or just Lorenzo sees it?
Oh yeah, everyone sees it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure
it's
that
on
I
my
wasn't
head.
like, yeah. Then I think that Serena will kind of like straighten up again, kind of cross her arms. She has, like, I imagine some amount of blood stains like down the front of her shirt. She says, well, once you're done, the rest of us are inside and you can join us. She'll just kind of, like, without even waiting for a response, just like turn and like walk inside and try to look.
Noticing the blood of her clothes, Lorenzo will just call out, "It's a good look for you."
I think that she doesn't stop and she doesn't really say anything in response, but you do hear this kind of like dry like chuckle, like funny. And then she just continues on. She just wants to go join the others in the kitchen.
So, does harming myself yield any results? Because I would also like to join the others, but I need to make sure.
Yeah. Give me a reasoning roll, Steam.
Oh shit.
One success is all you need.
Okay, I'll go. I love holding cards like this. It's so cool.
I know, right?
Living out your like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Part of the
fantasies.
cards.
Gonna throw him and slice somebody in half.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba.
Yeah. Lorenzo, what was your home life like?
My home life was fine until the academy. Then it was strict regimens. They take you in when you're just a child, you see, and they train you. You don't need to go through that silly reconditioning, you know, where they say they break you down and build you up to be a perfect soldier. No, you go in when you're already a child, and you learn the habit, so you only need to learn it once. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. So it was tough, it was vigorous, it was disciplined, but it was home, and I had brothers and countless sisters.
Some of them didn't make it.
No. Some of them left the battlefield in the very boxes they carried on their back. But that's the task that's the risk we run, that's the task that we receive. And one day I might do the same, and I do so in honor.
Yeah. There was a point in time outside of Florence, deep in the woods, you heard the scraping sound of metal upon metal, peering through the leaves and the trees and the shrubbery. This beautiful night with the sun full, stars in the sky. You saw a figure hunched over one of your comrades. You see the techno-powered armor laying still on the ground, not too far from you.
We lost a lot. We did a lot. But it was all worth it. It has to be.
tell yourself that, but you can't quite forget that scraping sound, shifting your perspective a little bit. You see a human being, all right, the thing that you're supposed to protect the most, scooping out from the top. One of your comrades who you trained with, using a very sharp spoon to get the outside out, almost like trying to get the crab meat from a crab shell. The person still squirming on the ground, very much alive, with tears trickling from its face.
I made a tough decision back then. I had to put them out of their misery. I needed to. Because if you don't, they continue to feel it. It's better a quick death. That's what mercy is.
Did you kill them both?
I did. And I buried their body. You never quite forget that night. That smell. The shoveling. The sweat. The blood. It reminds me of many sensations on my body. When I was burned, when I was struck, when I was hacked across, and when they installed this armor onto me. But I still remember that night. Can't forget days like that. You just don't.
You remember the eyes looking up at you, bits of the skull fragmented, bloody veins running down her forehead, begging for something, some kind of life or some existence beyond these moments. And you provided that, or maybe you ended it. But I guess that's on your conscience now. And with that, we go over to Serena, Lisa, and Hadrian. For you, Lorenzo, these moments as you're kind of scraping against the blood and the pain, you feel moments behind you and moments lost. But you can't figure out what happened within the last couple of weeks. You recall shouting and screaming, clawing, fingernails splintering on a cobblestone step. You can almost see that woman gazing at you as if trying to keep you from something. And alone in this sausage meat factory place, you kind of feel a chill as you notice that everyone has left you alone.
I'll rejoin the others. Can I remember anything? Weeks? Days? This isn't right. None of this is right! And I just flip over the table as I go back to meet my comrades.
Yeah, Lorenzo bursts into the kitchen. What's everyone else doing? How's everyone doing?
So I come in and I see, or Serena goes in and she sees this body on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just like a dead human body.
Yep.
And then she'll see that they are not moving. She probably goes over and like checks for a pulse just to make sure. But I imagine this scene is pretty gruesome, so she's not super hopeful.
You do feel a pulse.
Oh. Okay, then I think she looks up at the other two and is like, I was gonna say something really bad and I still might, but this person is still alive. And she's going to, me not out of character, not being a doctor, has no idea what one would do in this situation, but I bet she would know. So she's gonna just pull into like her medical knowledge and start to do some sort of like emergency trauma care.
Yeah. Let's see. You are an architect, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you have advanced medicine, so you can use that gear to kind of get a better understanding.
Okay, sweet. I will play this too then.
Excellent. You have a very hard decision opening up to you. It's obvious that this person's life will not be the same from here on out. And you know that their current thoughts must be alight with pain and sorrow. You still see the tears running down her face. You have two options before you. You can attempt to save her life, or you can let her die or kill her.
I think that Now, I imagine that Serena deals with death to some degree. I imagine as a doctor, there's a lot of kind of death like everywhere. So, and especially in this world nowadays.
Yeah, you probably, when your parents died, took them to the Citadel and removed their flesh, tanned their skin, and now they're just become another drone in Florence.
Great. Okay, so I think she will her initial look over, she knows that this person is not going to have a pleasant life after, even if they survive. Like you said, their life is not going to be the same. But she also knows that life is really precious nowadays. So I think that she's going to try her best to at least attempt to save them. And if that doesn't go well, then we'll figure it out from there.
Excellent. So for this bit of medicine, you need 2 successes. The consequences are a painful consequence of the person that you're operating on, and the other one is stabilizing this person. So these 2 things are in your hands. How many successes will you put up to this, or can put up to this?
So this is gear still?
Yep, gear, advanced medicine.
So I think I really want to succeed. So I think I'm going to play these 2 cards. One is 4, and then one is my Joker. Unless I only need to play the Joker, but since we need 2 successes,
you need 2. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. What does this look like? How are you putting this person together? Do your hands shake? Are you used to kind of putting your hands into flesh and blood and movement?
So I think the others in the room will see almost this tonal shift in Serena's like body posture and how she acts. She's like full on work mode now. Like when she first came in, there's this moment of like panic as like a normal human being would panic, but now she's just full on work. I think I don't think even her hands, they don't even shake. She's like, this is normal, this is what she's used to doing, and she has this purpose, and since she has this purpose to work towards, she can like just throw herself at that. So I think everything that she does as she tries to like stem the bleeding and stabilize this person's, from like getting any worse, like everything is very sure, and she probably even like barks out some sort of like get me this or like do this or whatever to the other people in the room, just fully expecting them to like listen to her as she works on this person.
Yeah, I will step in to aid as much as I can.
I think Elisa was still trying to turn their pockets.
Yeah.
Great. And then and you know what? If she's, we can let it see what happens, but I think she will, Serena would probably at some point be like, get out of the way if you're not helping. But maybe she finds something. Who knows?
Yeah. Go ahead, Elisa. Make an investigation. Every success, you get to ask a question. And you're the militia, right?
I am the technosophist.
You're the technosophist. Okay, cool.
Technosophist?
Both are right. So
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, give me an investigation check.
So I have a trained in this.
Mhm.
Does that mean I can play 2 cards?
Yep. If you're trained in it, you get to play 2 cards.
I have 2 clubs.
Ooh. All right. That's 2 successes. What are your 2 questions?
Are there any drugs in their pockets? Is there a list of questions, or can I just ask any questions?
You can just ask any question.
Cool. Are there any
I'll-
drugs in their pockets?
I'll
And then
give
does
you
anything
this one.
seem out of place? I think.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
give you the first one because it's pretty like easy to kind of go over this person's stuff. There is nothing in the pockets pharmaceutically, like no pharmaceutical items in her pockets.
Does anything seem out of place in her pockets? Like, does something seem suspicious, like as though something she shouldn't have?
Yes. What is your home life like?
I think Elisa's home life was quiet for the most part. And then when she decided to become a part of the Free Technosophical Society, her parents were, at first a little uneasy. It seems like a weird thing to pursue. Why not do something where you could make a lot of money, or do something where you could be really important in society? No, she wanted to play with old technology and old science and try to figure it out. So, they were kind of uneasy at first. And, being the oldest of 2, which is rare in this society to have 2 children, they thought she would do something great with her career. And being in the free society was not exactly in their plans. So she has like a tenuous relationship with her parents, but it's still there. They are more proud of her brother, who went on to become a doctor, a more respected career than a scientist who wants to figure out how old cars work or how old computers work. Not a lot of money there. Not a lot of money in research.
Yeah, and like this society has a shifting viewpoint on what matters. Wealth has kind of been something disregarded. Like, who cares how much money you make? There's nothing to spend it on.
Mhm.
What really matters in this world is a respect and love for science, a degree. So your architects and your engineers, those are the people held aloft. And you chose to go the scientific path, but chose a subject that no one cares about and often discards, because there's no way humanity will be able to enjoy the creature comforts of the 2000s. That is no longer an option, and yet you persist day by day on these old ways. What's your favorite movie?
I think her favorite movie is The Matrix,
Why?
because she thinks that some of this might just be a dream. She thinks that there's something more out there. She thinks that there's a charade involved in all of this. And she thinks that the answers are hidden, that society didn't just crumble for no reason. She thinks there are answers somewhere.
That's good. The Matrix often is a lovely little piece of work that kind of showcases that maybe this world makes sense because there is a nefarious thing behind it all that is controlling. Because otherwise, why would apathy reign in a society that so desperately wants compassion? And here, as you're kind of rifling through the pockets, you see a nice little picture scrolled up like a Polaroid of yourself and your 2 brothers staring at the camera.
She's definitely a little freaked out. Why does someone have a picture of me and my brothers in their pocket? This person that I don't know. She is gonna make a mental note of that and then keep the picture. That is mine now.
Yeah. You're kind of putting the pieces together. At this point in time, how old are your brothers? Is it just what sibling are they? Brothers or sisters, or is it just brothers?
I think she has 2 younger brothers. And I want to say, so she's probably, I'm saying like 35, and they're 20. One's 30 and one's 29.
Excellent. You kind of remember a conversation held back in time, like shifting of memories in your head, sparked because you see a ring, a little leather ring kind of tied to the marriage finger upon this woman's hand. It's now kind of swollen with her own blood, but nonetheless is there. The last family outing you had, you recall that same leather-like ring upon your brother's finger as well. Love in this time is very difficult to have and maintain, but when it does happen, it is a rare and beautiful thing.
So is this person, do I recognize this person now? Or do I just recognize the ring on the finger? Or I guess I might have never met my brother's partner.
Yeah,
Also a possibility.
You can give me a firmness test.
Yes.
Because you're stepping out into very dangerous waters here. As unfortunate as that is.
It's under flesh.
Yeah, I don't have, so I have nothing here. So do I just offer up a card as a failure?
So you just need 1 success. If you don't have any hearts in your hand?
No hearts and nothing to add up to an 8.
So you can always push the limit. And what that means is you discard 1 of your cards and then you draw a blind from the top and you see if that can save you.
Okay. I will discard 1 of my cards. I will get rid of this Ace of Diamonds.
All right.
Then I will pick up blind and nope, I got a queen.
Excellent. You take 1 trauma in flesh. It's almost like pushing against a barbed wire fence. A slight migraine starts to build in the back of your head. You might feel lightheaded. You feel a little dampness underneath your nostril and a slight taste of copper on your lip. Trying to look down and remember who this possibly could be.
Got nothing. So I think she's just confused and probably like, once she grabs the foot, once she has turned this person's pockets, I think if Serena would have pushed her away or even Hadrian would push her away, I think she would step back and pocket the photo in her coveralls.
I imagine Serena doesn't even notice that you take it. She just wants you out of the way.
Yeah, like you're performing what amounts to like brain surgery right now.
Yeah, trying to save a life over here.
What are you up to, Adrian?
So obviously I would have been trying to help stabilize the individual because my profession is not one of that I'm looking to murder innocent people. But at this point, pretty much establishing that Serena has got this under control because I have no medical background whatsoever. I'm going to start to put the pieces together. I will see that Elisa has not found anything in the pockets. So I am going to go out to the construct and start to search that.
The construct back in the dining area.
Yeah. Also, is the couple still there?
The couple you see down the street, several meters in the fog and mist of the city. Okay. That parasail still between you and it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to continue walking towards the construct and start to try to look through and see if there's anything, because I wouldn't have heard about the different gears or anything else like that, but I will try and think that there must have been something different. If there's not anything on this person, then maybe there's something on this construct and start to look through.
Excellent. Give me an investigation test.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every success yields a answer.
I'm going to use a joker and a 3 of clubs to give me 2 successes. For first thing I'm going to look for is there anything on this construct? Any drugs, any powders, any liquids, anything like that?
What's your home life like?
So growing up, Hadrian was the youngest of 4 brothers. He got picked on by his older brothers as he went through life. And, you know, it just so happened that he ended up in the, I guess, this world's version of a detective. He doesn't really have much of a home to go back to. It's just a small apartment. Maybe he's got a bed with a couple, maybe a chair, and then a couple plates in his cabinet. And that's really about it. Majority of his time is spent out of the house. He has seen a lot in his time just by purely existing in this world, but also the various investigations, because he understands the gravity of the situation, that like how horrific it is to take somebody else's life, and he's trying to remain as professional as possible to process all of this and, you know, get everything under control. So not really much of a home life, kind of a boring home life and for him at the moment. And then Penn, the past, just was picked on by his older brothers and ended up becoming a detective.
There's a slight tugging, almost like a little bit of your hair is being pulled on. If you want to explore that, give me a firmness check, Flesh.
Sure. I'm going to use a 4 of hearts to succeed.
Excellent. You recall Serena. Part of one of the more horrific parts of your job is just stealing, grabbing the dead from their houses. A lot of people still can't accept that there's no mourning period, that a person's body belongs to the Citadel as soon as they die. You've pulled away weeping mothers from their children, crying children from their parents. Death is still prevalent. Either it's walking around you or it's right next to you. And part of your job is, it's just a very unfortunate part of the militia, is ensuring that these corpses get to the Citadel for the sake of humanity. And you remember Serena's face, very still.
Like just in the situation we were just in, or something from the past?
It feels like the past. Her body being rolled onto a stretcher, lifeless eyes gazing up into a cloudy horizon. A little fly buzzing about and landing on her eye.
What else do I remember about that? Or do I just remember the image of Serena?
Just the image of Serena. Yeah. You look down as you're investigating this construct, and you notice that there is a piece of cloth in one of its clawed fingernails.
Okay, I'm gonna tug that out and take a look at it.
Yeah. It's a very familiar quality to it. Same color as what Serena's wearing.
All right. How big is this piece? It's a tiny piece of cloth, like under the fingernails? Like
it's
almost...
almost like a few threads.
So like it would have struck her?
It's hard to tell what it would have done with it. Just that this construct has touched Serena, or at least touched her shirt.
I think with that, I would this thing's not going anywhere, right? It just kind of stays there.
Yeah, it's just staying there. It's kind of like hand turning this little sausage maker, though nothing's coming out. So really, it's just kind of like this blowing of air through it with little pieces of meat sloshing off onto a plate.
Okay, I'm gonna take the threads back to Serena.
Yeah. Serena, the body before you is still, except for the eyes, which kind of look about sleepily. The eyelids kind of shutting every now and then, getting slower and slower.
Do I get the feeling that they're going to be okay, at least in the immediate, like...
Yeah. You have sustained and kicked death down the road.
Okay, I think once she feels like she's done as much as she can to both save their life and make them as comfortable as possible, I think she kind of just like leans back against like a counter or the wall or something and literally just like finally allows herself to like exhale, like, okay.
Yeah, you're covered in blood, like your hands.
Yeah. Oh,
the top is
absolutely.
just.
She doesn't seem shaken by it at all. She just maybe wasn't expecting. I think today was maybe supposed to be like a day off, like one of her very rare like days where she doesn't have to work, and of course this happens. So I don't know mechanically if it's possible, but I would like to catch my breath. I don't remember exactly what it's called.
Yeah, catch your breath. Yeah,
yeah.
I think with the events that occurred as you guys all kind of meet back into the kitchen, you guys can all take a few moments, though this is also your time to talk to each other as you refresh your hand and take another breath. So that means you can discard one card if you want. You don't have to, and then draw back up to 6.
I'm going to do that because I had 2 cards left in my hand.
There's something wrong here. More apparent than what we once thought before, I believe.
I would agree with you. And I'm going to kind of motion over to Serena and ask her, did the construct grab you while you were near it?
Out of character, did it grab her when she was looking like
No.
in it?
It
Okay.
never touched you.
I think she'll just shake her head and say, no, I was examining it, but it never touched me. Why?
And with that, I will pull out the couple of strands and show them to her and be like, these are the same as the clothes that you are wearing now. And I'll look, it doesn't look like her clothes are damaged or anything like that, right? Like there's not a huge gash out of the side of it or something that would cause
No. With like this amount of like string from the outfit, it's really just kind of like a thread, something you might have pulled on or lost. Nothing noticeably gone.
Yeah, I think Serena will look confused. She kind of I think you can tell that she's kind of mentally exhausted after everything that just happened. And she just kind of shrugs like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know if you've thought about it, but I've been thinking a lot. Especially out there with this thing. And I don't remember getting here. Do all of you? You say it's your day off, but do you know that for sure? Do we even truly know each other? Can you remember the first day we met?
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, the weird thing to me here is the cook had a picture of me and my brothers in their pocket. But then they're also wearing a ring that looks oddly familiar, but I can't quite place it. So I'm not sure of anything, as I usually am. Something always seems amiss here.
Yeah, this is definitely an abnormal day for me. I'm trying to piece together everything that I can, but I'm coming up short as far as the way that I got here, or how we all know each other for that matter. And on top of it, how in the world we would have been drugged to think that our food and our surroundings were not as they appeared.
We can't even remember how we got here in the first place. I would think that enough might be. It's all so strange, though. We thought it was a normal day.
Indeed. And,
But
no.
How far back can you remember?
How far indeed.
I mean, it looks like you could see pretty far back. Your memory stretched out before you. It's just the recent memories which are flayed and spread about like threads on a spool.
What is the last thing I can think of before I was here?
You can't think of anything, but you can feel something and almost rejoice. Feeling of excitement, maybe joy. Something you haven't really felt much in your time in your life.
I'm going to check my timepiece and see what day it is, and if it matches up with what my memory serves me as far as the last day that I remember.
Yeah. It is May the 22nd. Around 7 p.m.
Do I have any memory of the time from whence I remember?
About a week ago.
Okay.
We must all have a connection from somewhere. It only makes sense.
Or is it just a wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing?
I do feel like we were deliberately put here.
Considering that there weren't really anyone else, there wasn't any other out of character. I can't think of the word. Serena would have known it. Like patrons. There weren't any other customers here.
Do we even remember walking in? And with that, I'm going to try to walk outside and take a look around to see if things look normal.
I would say, do we even know where we're at? Like, are we even a part of the city that seems familiar?
Yeah. It feels like the noise, the smells. You're in Florence and you know this street. You've been down it several times. It's even on the way to many of the locations you all work at. Are you all following Hadrian out into the street?
Yeah, I'm specifically looking for people. Like, if there's anyone else on the street.
I think that Serena doesn't feel super comfortable leaving leaving this injured person just here, but I mean she's done all that she could for them, and ideally they would find other medical, I don't know if ambulances really exist in this time, but like whatever the equivalent of emergency medical personnel.
Yeah, it's pretty much two large oxen pulling a carriage, each one, of course, a construct.
Yeah, so she's gonna follow. At least worst case, she can hopefully flag down someone to like get one of them here.
Yeah, bursting out into the street. The fog is kind of just on the tips of the buildings here. These archaic Italian homes with their clay and brickwork. a beautiful city that kind of harkens back to a time way before this all started, when humanity started to peter out and die. At one point beautiful, but now just a part of the scenery. You notice the parasail several meters down the street, with that ox carriage as well. It has not moved. But in the silence of everything, you do hear footsteps, robotic and claw-like, as you see several constructs moving from down the street towards you, or maybe just further down the street. Hard to tell. But with that, we will take a lovely break. So everyone, I hope you're having a lovely time. Sit back, get some popcorn, make sure to rehydrate. If you have sausage, go grab it. It needs to be eaten. And we will see you in a few moments. Hello,
back.
and welcome to part 2 of Shiki, Necrobiotic. A lot of strange things have happened, but let's dive into the minds of our characters here. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's that mouth feel like?
What's that
What are
mouth
your-
do?
What's that hand touching? We'll start with Serena.
So like I said before, I think she was mainly at first just like very mentally exhausted having done that. But then everyone was mentioning how, things weren't as they seemed. We couldn't remember how we got there. Like, isn't everything really weird? And like the more and more she thought about it, she's like, yeah, I think something is wrong here, clearly. So now I think she is doing her best to remain calm. I think she does a pretty good job of remaining calm in stressful situations, as we just saw. But in her mind, she's a lot more worried. She's trying to go through her memories, try to find think of any clues, and she's not coming up with anything. And I think that she has this tendency to be a little pessimistic, so she's just trying to force her brain not to jump to the worst conclusions immediately.
Just curious, what is the worst conclusion?
Something along the lines of she's dead and this is weird hell afterlife, or that maybe she's not even dead, maybe she was drugged and kidnapped, and now everything that she's known for however long is because if she can't remember 2 weeks ago or a week ago or whatever, and she's seeing things now, how much has ever been real, she's starting to question her own sanity like that.
That's fair. All right, Lorenzo.
I read a book when I was a child once. Alice in Wonderland, a classic, of course. Many texts have been lost, but we still had one in my local library. I remember thinking of the girl that fell down the rabbit hole. Did I fall down the rabbit hole? Is any of this real? Lots of questions, no answers. Too many thoughts, really. I thought I knew what I was about. Am I even a soldier? Or was I made to think that way? Are we but actors in a play? Well, regardless, we're in for the ride. And I think instead of fear, or even sadness or distraught, I feel a sense of excitement. Because for the first time in my life, I don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, that's why I joined the Corps. That's why I became a knight. Did not know what was going to happen next.
Excellent. Lisa.
I think she's feeling a little bit satisfied that this is confirming some of her suspicions that not everything is as it seems, that there might be something bigger at play here. But she's also feeling incredibly anxious, wondering why she's involved in it, who got this picture, does that woman actually mean something to someone in her family and she just can't remember. I think she just has a lot of unanswered questions right now. So while she's feeling satisfied that part of her suspicions about the world at large are confirmed to her, she's also feeling very anxious while trying to figure out those answers.
So Hadrian's going to be looking around through the mist, and through his head he'll just be thinking, all right, I am still me. So there must be something that ties this together, as he's trying to keep the logic churning in his brain, because it's really the only thing that keeps him level, given his job, given the horrors that he's seen. This is what it comes down to, is calculation, staying on an even keel so that you don't miss something important. And he's going to look around for any sign of people, anybody that he can question, and see if there's any other sentient person in the area.
Well, of course, you have the constructs. Their slow, monotonous crawl down the street, moving in your direction. The ox-pulled carriage and the parasol, which stands between you and the visage of the two individuals who were locking lips not too long ago, several meters down the street.
I'm going to walk towards the couple. Not in a aggressive manner, but try to approach them as somebody who just wants to ask them a question in a professional manner.
You feel something touching your arm. It's a memory of more than an actual feeling of something tangible and something that you can respond to. Something lingering that not only brushes the hairs of your flesh, but also the slight tings of remembrance within your heart. It feels like a distant and a year-long touch without this person, with never seeing this person or hearing from them or knowing anything about them past this brief moments a long time ago. Not knowing if this person was alive or happy or dead or sad. This feeling still locked up within yourself, sealed away, never going away. But that time, long ago, someone touched you in a very real and profound sense. Who was this person?
My daughter. And I am going to look to the spot where I feel this ghost tug on my arm, and if I don't directly see her, my mind will paint the image of her tugging on my arm, maybe asking me not to go, maybe not saying anything at all. And I just stop and stare at her. Try to remember that it is not real, that I don't have that person in my life anymore, that I will never see them as they were ever again.
Yeah. And kind of this this combination of internal and external stimuli, the fog almost creating the silhouette of this person near you, in your mind filling in the images, watercolors painted against that silhouette. Beautiful, gorgeous. That first ting of love for this person, the moment that she was born. What were your first thoughts when you first became a parent?
Fear. Fear that I am now responsible for the life of another. Something that I know the weight of lives and the burden that they will have to carry. And my fear is that I will not be able to guide them as well to deal with the world, and my hope that I might make them a better person, or at least better than I am. And I think after holding her, it would have set in more that he would do anything for her.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a firmness test. 2 successes for this, because this is such a consequential memory.
Okay, I got 2 hearts, so.
Excellent. A child is very much like a dream that must be whispered, or else it will fragment from the outside world. But for you, you kind of feel that vulnerability now. But what keeps you grounded in the moment and not lost to these beautiful memories which call to you like a siren's voice?
I think it would be as he stares at her and says, Alicia, I know you want me to stay, but you are not here anymore. Your soul has gone on, and I know that it has. You know that I avoid the section of the city that you now walk through. And I know that you are not there anymore, that you are not my little girl anymore. And maybe I have like a locket or something with a picture of her in her obviously full life state that I hold on to and just kind of ground myself in that I need to remember what reality is, that getting lost in dreams can make it so maybe I don't get to see another sunrise.
Yeah. You kind of vaguely remember that Shakespearean quote about idle dreams and idle minds. And the others, you kind of see this vague silhouette of a humanoid child created by fog, almost like a dream. And then it just vanishes as a little wind drifts down the street.
And as it does, I'll just whisper, I am sorry and I love you.
Excellent. Is everyone moving towards the carriage and the parasol? Excellent.
I dare say we'll find the truth.
Maybe not the whole truth, but a portion.
Let's just get it done. And I'll keep walking towards them.
Yeah. You guys are near the back of the carriage now. The only thing between you and the visage of these 2 individuals who you had seen earlier is this parasol. Pink, lacy, gorgeous. It has the reflection of the sun upon it as if it's right underneath a beautiful day, but looking up, there's no such day. It's just fog lingering on the tops and rooftops of Florence.
So we do see them standing there, or at least the silhouette of them, or they're completely covered?
They're right before you. You remember that they were sitting on the back of the ox carriage, construct carriage, and the parasol, it was being held by the woman, and it's now in between you and looking at these 2 individuals. You can see feet, shoes just underneath the parasol, but that's about it. And you're pretty close. They look real. Certainly something you can touch.
I don't know if I have the equivalent of a badge, but if I do, I will say, excuse me, Verona Militia, I'd like to ask you a few questions, please. And wait to see if they move the parasol aside. Or can I directly see them?
Not yet. Not till the paracel is shifted off to the side.
Is it moving at all?
It has a slight shift to it. In looking backwards, you know that the constructs, which number about 15, have moved past the cafe towards you all and towards this carriage, walking very slowly and robotically. One is even holding a small construct's hand, guiding it forward as it does, which is a very rare phenomenon. Elisa, have you ever shared anything with anyone? And really kind of shared something?
I would think maybe just her older brother, or the older of the younger brothers. They were close as kids, but otherwise she's never gotten close to anyone since then. She's mostly kept to her work. But when they were kids, they used to share secrets and be close and share information that no one else would know.
Yeah. You remember your brother going to the Citadel of Science, being placed in the architect program, a very esteemed and respectful position in society, gazing out on the rooftops of Florence the day after he was graduated, and there was a party, a slight little party with your family, maybe one of the last ones you've ever had. He looked out into the kind of charcoal painted sky and said, imagine being sentient but not alive, seeing and even knowing but not alive, just looking out, recognizing but not being alive. A person can die and still go on. Sometimes what looks at you looks out at you from a person's eyes, maybe died a long time ago. And what follows suit is just the catching up of death.
How poetic of you, I think would have been her response. Not very much like you. But I think I understand what you're saying.
I've spent so much time gazing at empty eyes, dead and unseeing, but still seeing. And I think I've come to realize that in this memory, you see his mouth move, but that sort of talking through water, a mumbled jumble of wah, 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 wah. And so you can't exactly recall what he said afterwards. But what strikes you in your mind right now as the paracel shifts over is you see your brother and the woman who was in the kitchen, looking beautiful, gorgeous, smiles on their face as they gaze out, not responding or looking at you, looking past you all.
I'll try and communicate with them. Excuse me.
Give me another firmness check, Hadrian.
We all see this, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think Elisa might pull out the picture that was in her pocket, that from the body in the kitchen, and look at it again.
Yeah, I mean, there he is, like older, but like Oh, it's had a full beard and like, you know, the dimples of that smile, something that only comes up when he's really happy. That joy and light in his eyes that left ever since he went into the architect program. It's like finding love in your childhood all over again. Hadrian, what'd you get? Did you get a success?
So I don't have any suit or anything that would equal 8, so I'm going to off the top. And I got an ace of diamonds, so that also does not equate to 8.
All right, you take 1 damage in flesh. You can't hear beyond your own thoughts anything outside. You hear your daughter crying. It's kind of echoing between all the walls, back and forth, but seeming to resonate in front of this carriage.
I think Lorenzo would step up and just begin to yell, "Who are you? Where are we? What have you done?" And just screaming all this emotion that just kind of been building up at this point. As I feel like the memories of the battlefield start to creep in.
What are you most ashamed of that you did?
My biggest fear, my biggest shame.
Yeah, not fear, because fear is, well, everyone shares that, but regret and the things that you're ashamed of, those are the things people don't share.
My biggest shame is my biggest shame was watching my lover die. I didn't do anything about it. I was scared back then. I just joined. I didn't know what it meant to be brave. And I wasn't.
There are 2 truths that have been separated, whose conjoining will bring you endless amounts of pain. You can make a firmness test to bring them together if you would like, but you also know that deep inside you, you are protecting yourself from this truth. But it also might illuminate the trail a little bit more. If you want, you can get 2 successes. 1 success would at least move the fog a little bit out of the way.
But 2 successes would light my path forward.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. It's kind of like being in a smoky kitchen. Choking, you feel the heat in your lungs. These 2 memories, each that you've experienced not too long ago, put together. This person standing over a techno-powered armor, scooping out the bits of skull fragments from a twitching and life-filled individual, a woman who you recognize not soon after you both got into the techno-powered division. The choice and maybe the mercy of killing both of them at that moment, not knowing if there would be life after or if she wanted that life at all. You had a few seconds as her eyes gazed up at you when you killed the thing that was eating her from the top down. A little perception of remembrance of who you are and what you meant to her as tears kind of clouded her eyes. What did you say to her before you killed her?
I said, I love you, and I'm sorry.
How did you do it?
Like they taught us back at the academy. I brought my sword, and I brought it down fast. I brought it down on her neck, severing bone, arteries, tissue. It would have felt like a breeze right under her chin. She wouldn't even register in time. Like cattle. Like a chicken right before the slaughter.
You knew why she was out here. A interest in bugs, which kind of made her go out from the encampment to look at the outside world and see if there was anything beautiful and to be beheld outside of Florence in the wilderness.
She called it real. She said she wanted to see something real.
And betwixt her fingers, you see a little ladybug with 5 little dots on its back as it flies from her fingertip and into the sky. You see the same ladybug on your finger now. Very still. The same dots on its back.
What am I doing here? What are any of us doing here? I went off this ride. I went off this ride, and I went off of it now. I went off of it now.
As loud as your words are, it does not echo in these hollowed streets. The constructs are close, though, and getting ever closer. What are the rest of you doing?
So just to reiterate,
Mm-hmm.
this sitting in this carriage is Elisa's brother, who I don't recognize as her brother or anything. But and then the person who, the chef.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's definitely that moment where Serena looks at this woman and is like, "Wait a minute, like you were just in there, like what are you doing here?" kind of thing, right? I think she kind of steps up to the carriage and more or less demands of the two of them in there and says, "Tell us what is going on."
They look at you, their eyes shifting to you. You feel a bony claw upon your shoulder. The construct has caught up and placed its hand upon your shoulder.
Is it aggressive, I guess? Is it
It's not as, I guess, as gentle and comforting as a clawed, tanned leather, bony hand can be.
if I Serena will kind of turn to look over her shoulder at the construct.
Who was most important to Serena in her very, very lonely life? Or more importantly, have you ever wondered, sitting at a cafe, gazing at someone from across the room, what could have been?
I think that there is this person that one of her colleagues that she works with, and this colleague, she, you know, you don't like to think of your job as a competition of who does things better, but it's very clear to Serena that this colleague is kind of, in one way or another, not as great at her job. Maybe she takes longer to come to answers. Maybe she needs extra help here and there. There's something about her where she doesn't succeed as well at the job. But Serena just remembers seeing her at work, and she always seems so happy. And part of her wonders why. How could she's not succeeding as much? How could she be so okay with that? And then I think there might be times where they're in the break room or something, and she just sees this colleague, surrounded by friends, and maybe they're tired, maybe she's tired, and maybe she's not having a great time, but at least she has other people that she can rely on. And Serena can't help but wonder what that feels like, and wonder if maybe she did she take a wrong turn somewhere down her path of her career where she became such like a big loner.
Yeah, I think there's two instances which kind of swim about your mind. Everyone has a bad day at work every now and then. And you remember, what is her name, by the way?
I didn't come up with one, so feel free to come up with one, or I can come up with one.
Why don't you think on it for a little bit, but we'll
Sure.
come back. But she had a bad day. Tears in her eyes. And still in 2100, there's maybe especially during this time, there's a aversion to vulnerability, as if humanity was too fragile for such instances. And so she walked down the hallway within the Citadel, papers in her hand, and an unfortunate circumstance caused her to smash into a colleague, papers strewn about the ground. And this was just the tipping point to a hard-boiled day. Tears coming from her eyes, and you see a few hands comfort her and rub her back through these moments. It wasn't too long after that, maybe a month or two, when you had your bad day. Set of unfortunate circumstances which led to that boiling point. And on the ground, maybe with your knees upon the Citadel floor, there was no one to place a comforting hand upon your back. People walked by.
Her name was Isabella, but I think her friends called her Bella.
Yeah. You turn around and you see her face gazing at you. This construct body below her neckline, but her face just as like that day you saw her on the ground.
Does this seem, as far as Serena knows, she shouldn't be dead? Has she heard anything about?
Oh, she should not be dead.
Okay. So then I think she kind of she does this kind of jerky motion to try to like get her like shoulder out from the construct's hand, but she doesn't like run or like jump back or anything. She just kind of turns so she's more like facing the construct, and she's just got confusion written all over her face, and she's shaking her head and she's saying, I don't understand what's happening.
She looks at you. I'm sorry. I'm not as good as you, and I can't do this without your help.
Can't do what?
I can't make the choice. Maybe if I was like you, everyone could be saved, but I'm not as good as you.
I think Serena's going to kind of send a bit of a panicked look over at her friends, these people that she's with, and then just to make sure that they're seeing this too.
Yeah, they see it. Except for Hadrian seems to like not be able to hear anything. Like something is in his mind, just kind of making a cloudy, audible feel.
And then Serena will look back and she'll shake her head and she'll say, That's not true. I'm not better than you. We're different. And she's stumbling over her words just like I am. And there's so many things that you could do that I can't, and I want to help you. How can I help you?
You know, I wanted to invite you out for lunch sometime. It's just you seem to have your eyes cast down every time I wanted to meet them and get the courage to ask.
Serena will. What's the general shape of this construct? Is it like human-ish shaped?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
humanoid, yeah.
So she'll reach out a hand to put on the shoulder type thing, whatever looks like a shoulder.
Yeah.
and you know, in a way that a friend might, and she doesn't do it perfectly because she's not used to this kind of like familiar touching, but she tries her best to seem comforting, and she just looks right into Isabella's face and says, and just do it. Just, it might seem like you're bothering me, but I think I would really appreciate that.
Okay. Would maybe this Friday when we take our lunch, maybe we can go out for tea, or there's a nice spot looking out over the river. It kind of can see the sun from the bridge, and there's a nice little bench. I think it's dedicated to some old couple a long time ago, but I thought maybe you and I could sit and talk.
I think there's these like just the tiniest like pinpricks of like tears kind of starting to bubble in Serena's eyes, but it's not sadness. It's more hope, I think, is how like maybe she hasn't completely gone down this lonely path. And she just nods and she says, "That sounds great."
Yeah, and you could tell, like, despite this beautiful moment, she has tears coming down her eyes. I really wish it could have happened.
Serena will sigh. At this point, she's just completely confused on what is real, what is not.
Yeah. Touching the back of your head, you look down and there's blood on your hands. There is a shifting of worlds and perspectives as Serena, you look up to a cloudy sky, a little bit of rain kind of coming down over your eyes, mixing with what could possibly be tears. You feel a pain in the back of your head. There is a carriage turned over on the street, as well as you see Hadrian kind of knelt over a small form, hands grasping on to something with long hair. This woman before you, no longer the construct, stares down and she looks anxious and like tired, and she's like looking down at you and she's like applying pressure to something, and you notice that she's covered in blood. Yeah.
Does my body move? If I try to move, does it respond?
Not really, no. You can feel your left hand, a little bit of movement. Lisa, you are underneath that carriage, kind of looking out at this scene before you. Serena is mangled from the chest down. You remember being with your brother in his new bride, going down the street. Everyone was throwing rice. It was such a beautiful moment, and then a twisting of momentum as the thing twists and spirals into the air, smashing down, flinging you from this place.
I think she kind of like, if I imagine her body is again similar to Serena not responding, but I think she tries to, I think what happened with her eyes would just kind of well up with a few quiet tears, and they wouldn't fall. They would just kind of accumulate and hang in her eyes.
Yeah. Lorenzo, you are close by wearing your armor. It's been a long day. You have one pellet, one black-coated pellet to put into your armor for one more powered maneuver. But so much is happening before you. There's this child who needs to get back to the Citadel as close as possible if she's going to live. There's Serena, who doesn't look like she'll make it. There's Elisa, who, you know, if you lift that carriage, maybe she'll be alive. You can't help but think back on that little ladybug flying from your wife's finger. What are you gonna do?
I look towards the carriage, and I think. Half a second passes. I look towards Selena's body. I think. Half a second passes. I look towards Hadrian. I think. Half a second passes. There's a child in my hands.
The child is in Hadrian's hands. The small frame, it looks like it was hit by the carriage. You know that life in this world and with the advanced medicine, things can be brought back pretty quick, but time is of the essence, and you are a ways away from the Citadel. You know that you could pick up said child, put the pellet into your powered armor, and use the fuel to get there, hopefully in time, but she might not live even then.
I go over to Hadrian and I whisper to myself sorries to my other compatriots, and I take the child from his hand if he lets me.
Yeah, Hadrian, what's going through your mind? The mingling of memories, everything coming up to this one moment, thinking that you had no opportunity to save your kid, but she's right there in your arms, this crumpled little doll, a parent's worst nightmare, held in your arms like she used to be held in your arms when she was just a little one.
So at this point, Lorenzo has come over and told me that he is there to take her.
Mm-hmm.
I will immediately pick her up as safe as possible, trying to mind any broken bones and fractures, and put her into Lorenzo's arms and say, please, go as fast as you can. I'll try and help the others. And I'm placing my trust in him that he will save my daughter. And I'm trying now to go over and help Serena and Elisa.
As I grab the child, I use my last pellet and I activate our assisted thrust in order to break out into a sprint of 50 miles per hour to rush to the Citadel, sheltering this little girl within my hands.
Yeah. Like a hero out of a movie, you jet off into the drizzling sky, the world falling behind you as you move with great strength and speed.
How do I feel? How does my body feel?
It's numb, but as you carry this little girl, you notice that there is a ladybug on her cheek, grasping onto it.
Please, let me make one thing right.
Give me techno-powered roll.
And then, so that would be, how would I do that? I'm sorry.
It's fine. So techno-powered, supercharged movement is the skill and its gear.
Yeah.
The more successes, the greater the chance.
Okay, so it would be, sorry, I'm looking at it right now. Okay, it's gear,
Mm-hmm.
which is 2 successes. Can I double? There's nothing I can do to draw more cards, is there?
You can always discard one card in your hand to draw one more card.
Right now, gears. So I'll handle with 2 successes, a 4 and an ace. Oh, sorry, a 3 and an ace.
Excellent.
I don't care what happened in my body. I'll keep pushing and pushing.
Yeah, you can feel the rain hitting and the speed, the altitude. There might be consequences to these actions, but There's still that hope. So Hadrian, going over, which one are you going over, to Serena or to Elisa?
Elisa's under the carriage, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kind of steel myself with the knowledge that there's no remote way that I could catch up to Lorenzo and try to place my trust that he will help her and that he will save her, and that I'm going to immediately rush over and try and lift this carriage off of Elisa.
Right. Two consequences associated with this. Steel athletics.
Okay. I need 2 successes? Or, okay. Okay. And I can discard, I'm going to discard 1 to try and flip another. I only have 1 success and cannot do anything to make 1 equal 8.
Yeah, you're... I mean, I'll leave this scene up to you. You're lifting, and it's a little bit, but it's not enough.
I think Hadrian will be screaming, trying to lift this thing off of Elisa, trying to just the sheer adrenaline of the situation that's before him, the fear for his daughter, the fear for the people, his colleagues, and all of that coming together, trying desperately to lift this cart, and maybe he makes a couple inches of progress, and then eventually he realizes that he can't push it any further, and it starts to sink back down. And maybe he's yelling, "I'm sorry, I am so sorry," as he continues to try and push, but eventually it touches back down. And I think after that point, he'll look down. Is Elisa at this point dead, or?
No, she's still alive, conscious. So Elisa, if you want to say anything or do anything, this is all on you.
I think because she would have probably heard Hadrian saying he was sorry. I think, realize this is probably hopeless. I think she would do her best to vocalize, "It was never your fault." Is it real anyway?
I don't think that Hadrian believes that, and he'll just continue to try and lift, but at this point he's crying as well, saying, "I have to save someone," and looking down at Elisa and saying, I'm sorry, and maybe in between looking around frantically to see if there's anybody nearby that could help. But
Streets empty.
okay, after realizing that it is hopeless, well, and then Serena is still dying as well, right? Or
She doesn't look good. A architect is kind of applying pressure and trying to sew things back up. You can tell she's frustrated, kind of punching the ground next to Serena, trying to talk to her to keep her awake. Her knuckles are even raw from the frustration.
Okay, since I see that somebody is trying to help Serena, I think as a last, is this carriage made of wood?
Mm-hmm.
As a last ditch effort, I'm going to try and break it with one of my let's see, what do I have? Crossbow ain't gonna do anything, so we'll use the truncheon, and I'm just going to try and smack it with all my force to try and break this apart to get it off of her.
Excellent. So go ahead and give me a steel test.
Oh, an epic steel. All right, I'm gonna discard a card. And flip. Well, at least that equals 8. All right, I got
There
an 8.
we go. Yeah, you smash down, and Elisa, you feel a little bit of like the pinch of nerves, pain as you feel more blood starting to pour out of your body. Parts of the carriage have come undone. Hadrian, now you could start using your hands to start pulling bits of the planks and stuff off.
Yeah, I'll just continue to try and rip it apart, just saying, I'm gonna get you out of here, don't worry. Just stay with me. And continuing just to rip this thing apart to make it lighter.
I need diamonds. I need 2 of them. Athletics.
Okay. Can I discard 2 cards to draw 2 cards, or is it only a 1 thing?
I'll say in this moment, yeah.
Can I discard all of my cards to do? I have 3.
You can.
All right, I'm going to discard my whole hand. And I am going to... I guess I'll just hold it up to the camera because I have no idea what it's going to be. That doesn't look like a diamond.
Everything but Elisa,
Sometimes.
you can also make this test.
Sometimes a spade is just a spade.
Literally all spades.
Wait, can I assist?
You're gone.
Yeah, you're like
Yeah,
10 miles
you
away
out.
with this. You better
left.
be taking care of my kid. You ain't coming back.
Can my spirit roam through him?
Lorenzo just flies back.
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
gosh.
hey guys.
So this was an athletics test, right?
Uh-huh.
Y'all
Okay.
got no diamonds in your hands?
So I have a diamond, but it is only a queen, which is my ability, nimble. Which, when you play an athletic skill, you get successes from both diamonds and spades.
Yeah, so that ability is on all the time. So, snap, we got 2 successes.
Hey!
Spending my other special ability card to succeed.
Oh God, yes. So Hadrian, you take 1 trauma in steel as like you're breaking, and I feel like the desperation as your fingernails and your hand like starts bleeding from these cracks and splinters of wood as you like bash with your fist, trying to, you can't use a truncheon because this kind of is a little bit more delicate work from here on out, but your hands are like bloody and you see bones and cracks on your hands as everything is just coming undone. And Elisa, how do you make this moment? Like for Hadrian, you're like, this isn't going to work. Like, she's going to die in front of me, and today will just be a sad day.
I think kind of what happens is, like, as you said earlier, she was starting to get like feelings back in her body as it was lifting off of her, and then she had been trying to, I think, move her body, and then all of a sudden there's one severe pinch, and all of a sudden her legs start working, and she kicks off the last kind of plank that Hadrian had exposed, and like kicks it off out of the way and takes like a deep gasp, and like is not looking too great, but was able to at least move the material off of her with a sharp kick. And then she kind of turns her head the little bit that she can wildly and looks around and sees him, and then looks up and gives like a soft kind of chuckle and like a and says, "This is not how this was supposed to end if my calculations are correct."
What do you say, Hadrian?
Oh, you muted.
I wouldn't say anything. I would just run over and embrace her. And then remember that she's just been crushed by a carriage and kind of loosen that up a little bit.
Yeah, like down below it's not great, like ribs kind of poking out of the flesh and stuff like that. Like, oh God.
Yeah. After that, I think I'll just say, "Are you okay? Can you walk?"
I haven't tried. I can try. And she would try to move her legs again, and nothing would happen. She'd be like,
you
"No."
can pretty much just like move about. It's pretty much every last bit of connection from your brain to your legs is just complete.
All right,
But I can breathe,
okay.
which is an improvement than 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago. What is time anyway besides a human construct?
Yay, constructs. Speaking of constructs, Serena. You're sitting next to this woman on that bench, gazing out at the river as the lights are kind of starting to light up in everyone's households, the candles in the windows, almost like a memoriam to maybe what could have been, as you gaze down the waters and this river going down into the forest. She like is it good?
And I think that Serena kind of looks down at whatever she's holding and she like takes a sip of it.
Yeah, it's like hot chocolate with a little bit of marshmallows in it.
Yeah, and it's like immediately after she takes a sip, she like nods and she's like, "Yeah, it's real good."
I've made a decision, and I need your help with the next steps. I'm really bad at the whole like programming things, and I make errors and such, and I can't make an error with this. I was hoping you could help me.
Yeah, I mean, I can try. What is it?
Just a simple like surgical program.
For what?
Something
Sorry.
precious. Something precious. I know it's hard to understand, but I wanna save something precious.
I can take a look at it for you. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and she'll kind of place her hands underneath yours and go ahead and make me a necro-neurological programming roll. 2 successes.
2 successes. Oh no. I only have 1 gear card.
You could always
I guess
discard
I'll
another card and
discard
blind
one.
pull.
Yeah. All right, I'll discard a card. See what I get. I don't think I don't think the odds are in my favor because I've already used so many gear cards. But now I got 2.
2 gears?
Yes, and now
yeah.
I really don't think I have many left in my deck, so
This was a very important roll, and I'm glad you made it.
I'm glad I did too.
After you teach her, you can kind of feel yourself getting tired. You feel her head against your shoulder as she closes her eyes and falls asleep. What are you thinking about? Her next to you, this kind of moment, the starry sky before you, kind of reflected on the river's surface.
I think there's this this warmth. Serena's used to helping people. She's, a doctor or whatever. It's what she does. But it's not often that she's got to help someone that she really cares about. And that's not to say that they're best friends or anything, but there is definitely this connection between them that is deeper than just a patient or a coworker that you see in passing. And there's, again, that kind of warmth of hope that kind of sparks within her that maybe she doesn't have to be alone.
Yeah. And for Hadrian and Lisa, you see what was her Bella kind of laying right next to Serena, her head upon Serena's shoulder, as a construct cuts her open and begins kind of taking pieces from Bella and putting it into Serena, and with a very calculated way start to kind of put things together with both of them. Bella's kind of grasping hold of Serena's hand, trying to cry through the pain of being cut open and such.
I am not sure how much bodily control I have over this body, but she'll try her best to give just the tiniest squeeze to Bella's hand.
Yeah. You do so, and kind of in this beautiful place over this bridge, you see her smiling, even though there's a pain tear going down her face. So, 2 weeks later. I'll tell you what has happened, and then you guys give me the epilogue. Serena and Bella both live, thanks to that last play. Serena forever has bits of Bella in her, which helped keep her alive. And thanks to Serena's education on the programming for the construct, they were both able to live miraculously. Hadrian, your daughter makes it. Lorenzo, you are given a medal for this. When you got there, your arms and legs were wrecked from just a propulsion from trying to get this little girl there as fast as possible as you smashed into buildings, holding her, protecting her the whole time. And because of you, she lived. And Elisa, you're fine. Your brother and his new wife, they're having a redo of the marriage in about a week. Each of you have scars from that day, but you're fine. And maybe things will be better in the future. So going around, starting with Serena. What's your epilogue look like?
I think for her, it's a really simple scene where it's her and Isabella sitting at that spot, and it's after they've both recovered, and the scene doesn't even like zoom in or anything like that. It stays kind of distant which gives it this kind of more intimate feeling. You're not intruding on them as they're chatting, and you can see that they're both smiling, and it's a very friendly kind of conversation.
Lorenzo.
I think the steam we get is a are his arms and legs permanently wrecked?
Yes. So you have two options. Well, really just one option. You can have another dead body's parts replace yours, or you can have prosthetics or a wheelchair, depending on how you want to go on from here on out.
I think he'll have prosthetics as we see Lorenzo kind of sitting he's on an expedition with the rest of his forces, and he's sitting on a hill, and he's looking, and there's dark clouds around him, but sunlight and daylight begin to break forward, and he thinks for 1 second that he was able to do one thing right. He was able to save one person. And he mutters a silent prayer to a unknown god and continues on his way.
Yeah. There's a little ladybug set up on your cheek as it tickles you and it flies away. Hadrian.
So the scene that we get for Hadrian is as the camera pans up to the sunlight that Lorenzo is looking at, it goes back down to a scene in a park, and we see Hadrian kind of looking off into the distance on a bench. And then we see his daughter come up and grab his hand, and his demeanor changes. So he looks very happy as he takes her out onto a hillside, and she points to show him the ladybugs that have congregated on some flowers, and he picks her up, and you can see him just looking at them with her on his shoulders.
Yeah. She often speaks about wanting to join the Techno-Power division, like the hero who saved her. So, Elisa.
So for Elisa, I think we see a scene from the wedding. I think we see her brother and his bride dancing cheerfully. Elisa actually is more engaged than she was during the first ceremony. She had fun, but she's often quite socially reserved. Kind of like a safety wall up because of the ridicule of her family for her career choice and just a couple of things that have happened through the years. But that wall has crumbled down, and she is truly enjoying the wedding. And I think in like a classic fashion, we see the bride throw the bouquet and it lands in Elisa's arms.
Oh, yeah. So, everyone's gathered. And I think just with the amount of trauma and pain of this, what you all went through together, each of you were invited to this wedding. And here at like this post-wedding, everyone's enjoying food, a little bit of brief happiness that feels like it did a long time ago. Your brother gets up, Elise, kind of touches the glass, making it chime. Everything is more complicated than you think. You only see 1/10 of what is true. There are 1,000,000 little strings attached to every choice we make. We can destroy our lives every time we choose. And sometimes you won't know it as 20 years go by. You may never trace it to its source, and you only get the one chance to play it out. He kind of squeezes his wife's hand as he says this. Just try and figure it out. And they say there is no fate, but there is. It's what you create. And even though the world goes on for eons and eons, we're only here for a fraction of a second. Most of our time is spent being dead or not yet born. But while alive, we wait in vain, wasting years for a phone call, or a letter, or a look from someone or something to make it all right. And he looks over at Elisa. And it never comes, or it seems to, but it doesn't really. And so you spend your time in vague regret or vaguer hope that something good will come along, something to make you feel connected, something to make you feel whole, something to make you feel loved. And the truth is, I feel so angry. And the truth is, I feel so fucking sad. And the truth is, I've felt so fucking hurt for so long. And for just as long as I've been pretending I'm okay, just to get along. Just for, I don't know why. Maybe because no one wants to hear about our misery. And maybe because they have their own. So, let's raise a glass for the moments we do have. As we say, fuck you to that voice inside your head that says, keep it all inside. The end. Yay, everyone did so good.
Dang, I wasn't prepared to feel my own feelings today.
Right?
I mean, I knew it was coming, but
That was
dang.
good.
You guys did beautifully. I guess if we have time, Nick, we can go around, tell everyone where you are, where you're going, and what was your favorite moment of the whole thing. So let's start with Ashley, and we'll just go around.
Yeah, so like I said, all my shows are on break right now, so you can find me on the Gehenna Gaming Discord or at my handle down below my face on Twitter. Thank you so much for running. It was awesome. I think I mean, this is gonna sound really like cliched or whatever, but I think my favorite part was Serena's epilogue, because I think it just wrapped everything nicely.
It was so beautiful. Oh my god. Yeah, it was. I think one of my favorite aspects of the ending was the ambiguity of like, because I like, you know, are they dating or are they just friends? Like it's just like
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the focus was on like them connecting and like how they connect. Like who cares? Like
Exactly.
they connect. That's awesome.
Yay.
It was a very touching moment. All right, Alex.
So you can first off, had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for running this. This was fantastic. You can find me in pretty much any social media outlet with the name that's down below. As far as upcoming shows go, you will find me on Phoenix by Night, which is going to be on Dice Before Dawn, as well as some other one-shots that I'm sure I'll sign up for. You can also find me in the Gehenna Gaming Discord, and I will talk to you about just about anything. As far as my favorite moment goes, I really liked how you integrated all of our stories into this to where it felt natural and really allowed us to explore these characters and really dive deep into their emotions. And I really applaud you for that, because that's one of my favorite things. So thank you so much.
Oh, you guys gave such wonderful, like when I saw it start to come together, I was like, oh my god, these people are amazing. It was gorgeous. All right, Leslie.
So hey, I'm Leslie. You can find me on Twitter at the handle under my name. You can also find me on that podcast, Hot Garbage Gaming. I'm on a couple shows on Carrying Comfort, but those are all on hiatus. But we are coming out with Crack the Sky Alpha as a podcast that will start posting the first week of June. So if you missed the actual play, you can now listen to it in podcast format. And then my favorite moment, I think, has to be like that scene where we all woke up and realized we were in this traumatic kind of setting. I kind of also had already resigned to the fact that Serena was probably going to die. I was going to die. I was just assumed. That was it. And I like that how that all turned around based on what cards we played and how the rest of the scene played out. I really liked that. But yeah, I like that we all kind of woke up and it was like, oh, things are bad.
Yeah.
But they turned out okay.
Yes. It got better. All right. Nick.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick Francia. You can find me at the Twitter handle below. Other stuff you can find me on every Monday, like I said before. I run a Monster Arts game called Gehenna Academy, which is always on Mondays, 7:30 EDT. It's fun. It's a lot of craziness, a lot of horror, and a lot of just drama in general. So we're just going on to episode 4. If you want one of the best looking overlays in the biz, come check it out. We'd love to have you. The cast is amazing. It's all BIPOC cast, and they're just tremendous, superb, and just masterclass. They honestly, they make it shine. I don't know what I would do without them. Other than that, Gehenna has a lot of stuff coming up that I'll just quickly announce. On Wednesday, I believe we're taking a break for Cultist Wednesday for this week. On Thursday, you could see part 4 of The Midnight World. Also, part 4 or 5, we have 2 sessions left for them, and they're going to be doozies from what I've seen. James Davies is an amazing GM. And then Friday, you can catch up with Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, Dark Ages. I mean, it's a beloved setting that hasn't officially come out yet. It's one of a kind. There's not really much to stream much like it anywhere else. Definitely check it out. But if you're gonna check out Dark Ages, you have to check out Gehenna Academy because we're having a feud right now. We're warring, and we got to make sure those numbers keep as close as possible to keep us both going. All right, and the cast on both of those shows are just fucking great. Goddamn, and I love you, Mitch. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you for running this. I'm excited. I'm happy. You made me find fucking trading cards that are not trading cards, playing cards I didn't have.
Yeah, that smell like George Clooney.
Yeah. No. They smell like Casey Affleck. It just smells like fucking regrets and Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah.
Mitch, are you gonna plug your stuff?
Yeah, man.
Oh my God, yeah. I was like, I think that's it, right? Everyone did their thing. Sorry, yeah. I am Penny for a Tale. You can find me on all social medias at Penny for a Tale. Biggest thing I got going on is, of course, this game, which is on Kickstarter right now. We're about to get some of the next stretch goals, which are really cool. And one of the stretch goals I'm really excited about later on is the ability to put the construct template onto your character. So if you wanted to explore what life was post-mortem, there you go. We have to get there first. So check out the Kickstarter, do what you can, and spread the word if you like these sort of beautiful melancholy like tales. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. You guys were amazing. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for running.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Seriously.
Thank
Also, the cards are a cool mechanic. That's so sick.
Yes.
Mhm.
Part of the
Very
cards.
nice change of pace. Let me just say one more time that I cannot believe there was, I think, one more spade in my deck. I had already used the numbers, like, I drew like the 3, and I had already used the ace, 2, 4, and 5. And I only had up to 6, so I'm like, surely I'm not gonna draw one, and then I did. It was awesome.
Oh man, and it was like, if that card, it was either you or Belle, like that would have been the choice. I like the ending much better with that success.
Me too.
Right. I think it's time we said goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye,
Have a wonderful night.
Thank you for coming.
Leslie, you can't do that. That's not interstitial.
It's just a heart.
It's a heart.